The next big electricity crisis may have nothing to do with oil, gas, or even power plants. It may come from a metal almost nobody knows exists. Grain-oriented electrical steel. A specialty steel used in transformer cores, designed to guide magnetic flux with minimal energy loss. And right now, this obscure material is quietly deciding which substation gets built, which data center gets energized, and why your utility bill may keep rising. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The grid is not just limited by copper, labor, or permits. It is limited by a tiny industrial choke point buried deep inside the transformer supply chain. If you want to connect more EV chargers, more solar farms, more AI servers, more factories, you need more transformers. And if you need more large transformers, you need more grain-oriented electrical steel. Think about how strange that is. We live in an age obsessed with chips, batteries, and rare earths, yet one of the least glamorous materials in heavy industry may be exerting more control over the pace of electrification than all the futuristic headlines combined. In my view, that tells you something important about the real architecture of economic power. The world is often constrained not by the flashiest technology, but by the least visible component no one bothered to overbuild. So, what is this steel exactly? Grain-oriented electrical steel, often called GOES, is processed so its crystal structure aligns in a way that reduces magnetic losses. That makes transformers more efficient, especially the large power and distribution units utilities rely on. Without it, the core runs hotter, wastes more electricity, and performs worse. This is not decorative metal. It is the silent heart of the transformer. Now follow the chain. Utilities order transformers. Transformer makers order core steel. Steel mills with the right equipment, chemistry, and annealing capacity produce GOES. That production base is small, concentrated, and hard to expand quickly. Reuters and industry reporting have documented transformer lead times in the US stretching from months to well over a year, and in some cases, multiple years after the post-2020 demand surge. The U.S. Department of Energy has also warned that transformer supply constraints became a major reliability and expansion issue. But this was only the surface problem. The deeper issue is that transformer demand is rising from several directions at once. EV adoption means more local distribution upgrades. Renewable projects need interconnection equipment. Data centers, especially AI-heavy campuses, demand enormous and stable loads. Manufacturing reshoring adds another layer. One substation delay can stall an entire industrial park. One transformer shortage can postpone a solar project that is already financed. People talk about the energy transition as if it were mainly a battle of ideology or climate targets. Sometimes it is much more mechanical than that. You can pass all the incentives you want. You can announce all the megawatts you want. If the transformer doesn't arrive, the electrons do not care about the press release. A few numbers make this clearer. The International Energy Agency has repeatedly said grid investment must rise sharply this decade to support electrification and clean energy expansion. In the US, utilities and grid planners have reported a surge in wait times for essential equipment. And in Europe, manufacturers have warned that transformer backlogs are colliding with rapid demand from renewables and industrial electrification. The bottleneck is not theoretical. It is showing up in procurement calendars, project delays, and capital budgets. There is another reason this matters. GOES is not a commodity you can casually substitute. Producing it requires specialized steelmaking, tight process control, and domain know-how built over years. That means capacity cannot be summoned overnight like extra trucking slots. If a region underinvested in this capability for years, it eventually discovers that its grid plans depend on mills it does not control. And that creates a geopolitical layer. The supply chain for transformer materials and transformer manufacturing has become more concentrated, just as governments are demanding faster grid buildouts. In the US, domestic manufacturing policy has started pushing for more local transformer and core material capacity. In Europe, the same anxiety is growing. How do you electrify faster if critical components sit behind long lead times and a narrow supplier base? I think this is where the story becomes bigger than steel. The real lesson is that modern economies keep confusing generation capacity with delivery capacity. Politicians celebrate gigawatts. Investors celebrate announcements. Consumers hear about clean energy targets. But the grid is a chain, and a chain fails at its narrowest link. Ask yourself, what good is a new gas plant, a new wind farm, or a new battery site if the transformer feeding the substation is delayed 18 months? What happens to a factory expansion when the utility says the connection date just moved again? And when those delays ripple through financing, who absorbs the cost? Usually not the headline maker. Usually the customer. That customer impact is easy to miss because it arrives indirectly. Utilities facing higher equipment costs and longer procurement cycles carry more working capital, more contingency spending, and more schedule risk. Large users negotiate around it. Smaller businesses usually cannot. Residential customers do not see GOES surcharge on a bill, but they can feel the effects through higher infrastructure costs, delayed service upgrades, and weaker grid resilience during periods of peak demand. Then there is efficiency. Better transformer cores reduce losses. Losses sound small until you scale them across a grid serving millions. Even a modest improvement in efficiency matters when power systems are already strained. So a shortage of high-quality core steel does not just slow expansion. It can also slow the replacement of older, less efficient equipment. That means more wasted electricity hidden in plain sight. But wait, there is a twist almost nobody outside the industry talks about. The bottleneck is not only about not having enough transformers, it is also about which transformers get priority. When supply is tight, manufacturers and utilities triage. The biggest, most strategic, most profitable projects often move first. A hyperscale data center backed by a giant balance sheet may secure equipment faster than a small municipal upgrade or a rural interconnection queue. That is where an obscure steel shortage starts quietly allocating economic power. It can influence which county gets capacity first, which employer breaks ground on time, which renewable project misses its revenue window, and which region becomes more attractive for investment. This is not just a material story. It is an invisible ranking system for the modern economy. Bloomberg and utility trade reporting have shown how data center demand is now forcing planners to rethink load growth assumptions. Add that to EV charging corridors and industrial reshoring, and the competition for grid equipment becomes much sharper. A transformer is no longer a sleepy piece of utility hardware. It is a gatekeeper asset. There is also a policy trap here. Governments can subsidize demand faster than supply chains can respond. that creates a strange outcome. More announcements, more capital spending, more political urgency, yet longer queues for the basic hardware needed to make any of it real. I have to admit, this is one of those stories that makes the economy feel less like a machine and more like a crowded elevator. Everyone wants in at once, and the steel door closes very slowly. And unlike a chip shortage, this one does not generate the same public drama. There is no sleek consumer gadget missing from shelves, no viral unboxing crisis. And unlike a chip shortage, this one does not generate the same public drama. There is no sleek consumer gadget missing from shelves, no viral unboxing crisis.